Welcome, A Higher Note community. I'm Natalie Eastman, the host of this little interview, our One Thing 30-minute interview, and the owner of A Higher Note. I want to welcome today our special guest, Robert Lunte of CourseCreek.com and of The Vocal Coach. And I'm sorry?
Nope, the Vocalist Studio.
Oh, the Vocalist Studio. My apologies. Sorry. Yes, he is a vocal coach. But today, just to orient everybody, all our viewers and listeners, to let you guys know the purpose of this little interview series is to help the Higher Note community and anyone with whom you share this interview, I hope you'll share it widely, become better singers and performers. And these are meant to be both informational, aspirational, inspirational, all the above, like little nuggets from experts who have been there, done that, and wrote the book. Literally, Robert, hold up your book. So yeah, been there, done that, and wrote the book and got the coaster. So yes, nice and thick. So whether you are a vocational singer, whether it is avocational for you, whether it's a lighthearted hobby or a serious hobby, I'm hoping that these interviews bring you something that will help you be a better singer and performer. And yeah, so everything is meant to help and be something that you can take away. So Robert Lunte is a vocal coach, as we now are clear on, and has written a very thick book on the 4 pillars of singing. So, and Robert, I want you to tell our viewers and listeners, our little A Higher Note community, a little bit about yourself as a singer, and then also maybe a little bit about yourself as a vocal coach. So take it away.
Okay, thanks for the nice introduction. So I'm a kid from the 80s. Right. And I've always been a singer. I've always been fascinated, and my passion in regards to singing is metal, prog metal, specifically male voices belting above the passaggio with full vocal fold adduction, full sort of M1 modal voice like sound quality and control. Ever since I was 15 years old, I'm 52 now. Ever since I was 15 years old, I've had a fetish for. So the masculine, heroic vibe that you get when you hear a male voice, high, not hurting, not pushing, not straining, with vibrato and just laying it down. So I was a kid, 15 years old, singing in garage bands, and absolutely true story. AM radio, 3 o'clock in the morning. Okay, I'm sleeping on my waterbed, and I'm listening to a station. It's true though. It's true.
I'm with you.
I'm listening to a rock and roll station, probably KISW from Seattle, Washington. Would have been 1983 or something.
Right.
And at 3 o'clock in the morning, I was awoken by, those of y'all don't know if you're familiar with it, go check it out. Band is Queensryche. The brilliant singer is Jeff Tate. And they did their first EP, their little 4 EP. And the first song on their EP is a song called Queen of the Reich. Do you know it, Natalie?
No, but my husband would. He was a big
Queen. Yeah, just go have fun. Just go Google it. Queen of the Reich by Queensryche. Okay. Anyways, it starts with an amazing glissando. It's like a 2-octave glissando. All of a sudden, Jeff Tate comes in. He does this glissando and goes all the way up to, I don't know, probably I want to say it would have been maybe an E5 or something. And I woke up, I stood up in my bed, and I'm like, holy mackerel, who and what was that? What was that?
Yes.
So immediately I did the research. I found the voice coach that taught Jeff Tate, Lane Staley, Chris Cornell, Ann Wilson, all the really famous Seattle rockers with great voices, and trained for 12 years. And I went after it. I had a big passion for it. And so That's a little bit about my source of inspiration. I've been a voice coach for about 25 years. Vocalist Studio, we have 16 online courses in 6 languages, a book, and we offer online course training and technique to coaches and students all over the planet.
Mm. And is yours, we'll get to the one thing questions like that, is your 16 courses,
Yep.
are they all voice?
Oh, that's a great question. As a matter of fact, they're not all voice. There's probably about, I really don't even know for sure. I'd have to go dig it out. Like 10 courses that are voice. I've done enough courses about voice and been a collaborator and a partner on voice and vocal technique training that at this point in my online course production career, there's not another reason to make another online course. My current flagship course, called The 4 Pillars of Singing, runs for 23.5 hours and has a 616-page book. And then there's a belting course and a warm-up course. And then I have buddies from the studio that have made courses. There's enough content on vocal training. The other stuff is public speaking and some business stuff that I did with some other people.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Very good. And do you focus mostly in your courses? Do you focus on male voices or female?
Oh, no, not at all. Not at all. The 4 Pillars of Singing, the course and the methodology that we developed is mostly about training. It's sort of like a P90X for singers.
Got it.
It lays out a methodology for training the voice that orients around onsets. We did a deep dive on onsets and how that changes the mechanism and enables you, if you do a certain kinds of onsets in the program, how that can build the motor skills to achieve certain compression or better respiration or belting and things of that nature. We also orient around vowels and resonance. So there's a lot of vowel modification stuff in there. And then we take the vowels and the onsets, we put them together to present integrated training routines. Mm-hmm. Now, an integrated training routine is a vocalese like any other vocalese, except the student, the TVS student, understands the anatomy of the vocalese, which consists of 3 elements: an onset, a vowel, and content, the scale. Mm-hmm. When we put those 3 elements together in my program, we call them integrated training routines. So that's just a way of saying that the whole program is oriented around helping people to understand the anatomy of vocal workouts and training, and then presenting them with 45 different vocal workouts that they can use to build the strength and the motor skills for singing. Now, based on my background, the story I shared with you at the beginning of our interview, and my passion for rock and roll and metal, the techniques are sort of extreme. They're sort of oriented towards belting above the break. Mm-hmm. I'm oversimplifying, probably not doing myself justice, but in some sense, I'm sort of a head, voice, belt coach specialist, and that's what the program covers.
Yeah, so it covers it all, but if a person really wanted to get good at that, yours would be the place to go. Your course would be the one to take.
Indeed.
You wanted to belt above the break. So
that's right. Yeah,
because you can. And let me just, I know that I know a lot of you guys in this family, you have wrecked your voices. You've hurt yourself. You can hurt yourself pretty badly by belting above your break without knowing what you're doing or how to do it in a way that you won't hurt yourself. So I definitely want you to, you don't come to me or Robert, come to somebody else and get some help with that. So, but it sounds like go ahead, Robert. Yes.
Well, no, of course, that's why we have training. There's techniques. You can take mono voice, belt voice above the bridge to the head voice and sing all night long, all life long, and not hurt yourself. Okay. you have to train to build the endurance and the motor skills to do it.
Yes.
We hear people doing it. Well, they have the motor skills to do it. And I'm not going to go into a super deep dive, but primarily, now being a voice coach, one of the important things you need to do if you're going to go this extreme stuff, she's right. If you don't do what I'm about ready to tell you, you could hurt yourself and get tired. So the first thing we want to do is we want to configure the mechanism into a vocal mode, a little bit of that sort of an Estelian vibe here, into vocal cry mode. We need to thin out the vocal folds so that we can get better compression and remove pharyngeal constriction. When you are singing through a cry mode configuration, it is amazing the results and the freedom that you can get. So first, from a mechanical perspective, we have to learn how to sort of cry mode on cue in a different context, which isn't I'm sad, but I'm singing. The other thing is the acoustics and the vowels have to be right per the frequency. And so if you and you know, good embouchure and good respiration and other things, but the two most important things I like to say, 40% of it is the vocal mode, and namely you want to get cry mode involved. Now twang and other modes can also be can be activated at the same time that you have cry. But I will say cry mode is the most important position first. The other 40% is having your vowels and your resonance figured out, being able to place this stuff. And the remaining 20% is respiration, embouchure, mental attitude, all those kinds of things. But you can do it. You can do it.
That's right. You can do it. And my point was just like, if you try to just launch into it, you know, just be careful. There's a lot of coordination that is taking place. So if it sounded like there was a lot going on when Robert's naming all these things, there's a lot going on, but you can do it when you train to do it. You can do it when you train to do it. So, okay, Robert, let me launch into our one thing questions.
Okay,
is there one thing, well, you know what? Okay. We could go back to your, 2 a.m., whatever. Yeah. Your moment with Queensrÿche. But you might have a different question. You might have already thought of a different answer for this, but is there a statement or a concept or a compelling message, a call, anything like that, a drive, a particular encouragement you received? And we know about that one that compelled you to sing and drove you toward
I did touch on it. So there's a little inspiration story. And for me, it's that fetish of the vibe that you get when you hear Pavarotti sing the high C in Nessun Dorma. It's like this, it's a high male, masculine, heroic vibe. I love that. Now in the context of rock and roll, it's even more fun. So that's my answer. That's the one thing that just keeps me going since I was 15 years old. Yeah.
Right. That's yes. Yeah. It's like when a kid sees a gymnast flying on the high bars for the first time and they're like, I want to do that. And then they're, the next 15 years is training toward those. But yes. So what is one thing then, one big thing, whether it falls under the category of mindset or a specific approach to training, a strategy for before, during, or after singing, etc., whatever, okay, that has shaped your approach to your practice of singing?
All my life, even when I was a student, like back in those early years we just talked about, it was all about training, practice. There was never been a moment in my relationship as a singer or as a voice coach since I was 15 to 52 that didn't involve training and practice. Okay, so that's the one thing that breeds true through everything, and it's sort of why we have the programs on the book and how that all came to be. Now, a mindset is that if we understand that the human voice is a set of muscles and ligaments and tendons and things. So we are vocal athletes. And I know it's sort of cute and maybe clever, but it's absolutely true. I know Natalie will agree with me. We're athletes. We're training, muscles and stuff inside the mechanism, and so go after it with the attitude and the perspective that I'm an athlete.
Yes.
And again, not that that's sort of clever and cute. No,
it
we really are athletes, just working more tinier muscles. And it requires repetition. You got to do the right reps. You got to do it over and over again and get strong. And then the other thing is, if you want to become a great singer and a great performer, that the training and the practicing isn't always fun. So, but to get to the fun part, performing and coaching and singing, you have to pay your dues. So we are obligated. If we want the cool part, the fun part, the sexy part, we are obligated to do the work.
Mm-hmm.
It's the job that you signed up for.
Yeah.
There's no shortcuts.
That's right. I write about being, the correlation between athleticism and vocal, but on your website, your little tagline says, "We train vocal athletes."
Yeah.
Doesn't it? Am I remembering that correctly?
It does.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah. And I was like, yeah, he's nailed it right there. And when you think about the thing that, attracted you first to singing, that the equivalent of that flying, the flight, like that flight, there's no flight ever. The Wright brothers flight didn't happen just on a whim. Like there were years and hours and years and hours. That doesn't make sense. But you know what I'm saying? There was so much calculation, practice, trying it, doing it again, developing the coordination between the weight and the balance of the taking the schematic to real life and, redoing the whole thing again. So, I mean, there's no flying that's ever taken place, whether it's real or metaphorical, that just happens. Virtual reality is not reality. Yeah, virtual reality is not reality. The reality is that there's coordination, there's muscular development, there's all that kind of stuff. Now, that not to say though, like you do have to pay dues, but I teach about vision and about having a vision for what you're working toward. And you're like, you want to do the sexy stuff, you want to be on the stage. Let that frame your practice. Let that be what's always there in your mind. Call it to mind in an instant. Have it there, have it so real and so you can taste it and smell it, so that the practice becomes not a drudgery. It becomes something that you want every note to come to life because you know what you're working toward. So, but I love it, Robert, you're spot on.
It's very true. One of the most popular questions we get from students that buy the program is, and I make a video to answer this because it's so popular. And it is. Okay, I'm in this big program with you, Robert. It's really fun. I think I'm kind of getting some results. Yeah, it's fun. But how do I know when to go to the next workout? How do I know do I do it 3 times or 10 times or 1 time? Should I warm up for 45 minutes or 15 minutes? How do I know when to move forward in the program, and in my program, and in the little program that the training routines that they've set up for themselves? And the answer to that is you have to have a predetermined outcome, a visual in your head on what it is that you're doing with every single note. And what happens is, Natalie, is students sometimes when they're working through programs and courses is they view the workouts as a task list. I'm going to spend an hour checking off the boxes and doing these 8 or 10 workouts, and then I'm done. If that's how you approach training and practicing, you'll get some, you'll burn some calories, you'll get some benefit out of that, but it's not what the greats do. What you need to do is in your mind have a predetermined outcome, which would be 1, what's the sound color that I want to hear right now? What is it that I want to hear from my voice on every onset, every scale? Okay, and visualize that and try to match it. 2, what do I want it to feel like? The kinesthetics. I've done it a few times when it really sounded great. Last Wednesday, it really sounded great. I'm trying to remember that, the motor skills, and sort of focus on that. Now, there are other things, but that's a little bit of coattailling on your point.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Good. That's so good. That's some really good wisdom right there. And having not just when you're practicing, having that end result in mind of like, okay, what do I want to do with all of this? I want to be sexy up on stage and I want to fly with my voice. Okay, like that you do. But you're also saying like every note, everything that you produce with every exercise, you want to predetermine where you want it to go.
The sound color. When I look back at the hardcore training I did early on, I know for a fact, and it helped me a lot, is every darn second and every scale I went into, I had a sound color that I wanted, that I was going for, and it wasn't always there. I was a young kid, had thin connections and things, but there's a sound color I'm going for, and I still do that today. What was it? What was the sound color? Well, sound colors I heard from my heroes. And sort of what I had in mind for myself. For myself, it wasn't something a little bit warm, something heroic, something that's not thin, something that sounds masculine on the top end, whatever that is. You hear that color and match that. That'll keep you focused.
Yeah. And you kind of know what that is, what it is, what you want out of your voice.
Yeah.
All right. So what is, because I want to keep this in 30 minutes. So
okay.
So what is one thing, you've already given several really good tips and things for people to keep in mind. So, but let's see if there's one more that you've already thought about. What's one thing, a concept, a tip, a call to action, a suggested approach to practice, which you just gave us, specific exercise, an inspirational thought, anything connected to singing that you would like to share?
Okay. What I just shared with you would have been a good answer for this, but I'm going to give you another one that's even a little less esoteric and super pragmatic. Okay.
Good.
It's the other most popular question people ask me. How long will it take until I get results?
That's a good, yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Very popular, isn't it, Natalie? How long do I have to do this?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to have two answers for this. The first answer is the same answer that Maestro David Kyle gave to me when I was 15 years old. And I asked him the same question. He's a voice coach for Ann Wilson, Jeff Tate, Chris Cornell, Lane Staley, and all these great singers. What he said to me was, he says, I was on the phone with Maestro Kyle. He says, I'm 15 years old. He says, the day you think you're done, you're done.
You're done. Like you're just like, that's the end of it. Forget it. Yes.
So that's one idea.
Yeah.
But inside of that, here's the practical advice. Depending upon the individual, 30 to 120 minutes per session, provided you have great content that you're training. 30 to 120 minutes per session of focused private practice. 3 to 6 days a week for at least 90 days. So if you're somebody with a family and a job and you're super busy, what that means is at least, and Natalie and I are not recommending this, but at least to sort of retain the motor skills that you're trying to build, 30 minutes, 3 days a week. I'm not a fan of it, but I think that would be the bare minimum to probably maintain some sort of vocal health. But 30 to 120 minutes per session, 3 to 6 days a week for 90 days to experience some pretty lasting gains if you're really getting after it.
Good. That's good, because I do get asked that a lot. So thank you for addressing that. And different vocal coaches will tell you different things. And what Robert has also just suggested too is that there is kind of a sliding scale, there's a sliding scale, and there will be times and there will be stretches of time in your life when 30 minutes is what you can give it.
Yeah.
There'll be other times in your life when you can give it that 120 minutes. You can give it like your full attention for several weeks. You can some weeks do 6 days. But then it sounds like, Robert, you're in the same camp as me. Like I'm big on resting for a day. So just giving your voice, because it is, our bodies, I think, are made to rest. But I mean, our bodies aren't made to rest. Our bodies are made to produce, but you know what I mean? They need regular rest. So, so just know that if there are weeks that go by and life is happening to you, that it is okay.
Yeah.
It's okay to do 30 minutes 3 times a week, if that's what you can get, if that's what you've got to give. But you're like, if you if you want to really go somewhere with it, then you'll find the ways to up that, and or whatever weeks that you can give those, give more time to it and more energy to it, then grab them and do it.
Yeah, 30 minutes, 3 days a week is just enough to maintain vocal health. It's just enough to maintain, sustain the benefits you get from semi-occluded phonations, for example. If you did that, you're going to get a benefit from that, and some coordination. But no, you're probably not going to be, blowing the socks off anybody unless you really pick it up to 5 to 6 days and really get after it.
To use the athlete metaphor again, like a serious runner knows that they can't go a week without running. I mean, unless there's surgery or something involved. And even then, if you've ever had a runner get surgery, a friend who's a runner, or you're a runner yourself, you're like, okay, doc, when can I run again? When can I get back up? And that is because your muscles, they have to keep moving. And if you don't keep moving, then it's not like you're going to lose it forever, hopefully, but you're going to need to kind of backtrack a little bit. So if you're doing the bare minimum, every time you get at it, you're kind of doing a little bit of backtracking. So you want to stay consistent, and you want to give it as much time as you can give it.
The muscles inside the mechanism are just like any other muscle. If you don't work it, it will atrophy. It will get weak. It's true. You have to keep training and singing. Yes, and amen.
And what are you working on right now in your vocal practice and or your career?
In the vocal practice, I'm spending a lot of time in marketing requirements to bring more traffic to the online courses that we've built for singers. So that, and bringing in other TVS courses in other languages. So we're building a vocal training marketplace that has my courses. Another buddy of mine who's super talented named Draven Gray. We're going to bring in, we're bringing on a course in German, a course in French, a course in Italian, and a course in Hindi, all on the platform. So sort of business marketing stuff. As a singer, I haven't had enough time to really get after it because of the other consulting business that we talked about in the other show. And, but I miss it a little bit, actually, to be honest. And I'd be the first one to sign up and go sing and put energy and time into it if the gig is worthy of my time.
Yeah. All right. But right now the focus is on growing the business and getting the message out there. So, all right. How can people stay in touch with you?
Well, you can go to thevocaliststudio.com. You can contact me with the little chat system down in the bottom right corner, or you can just email me personally at robert@thevocaliststudio.com.
Awesome. And then you have a little gift today for people who are viewing this little interview.
I do. Go to thevocaliststudio.com. When you get there, you'll see a little pop-up, little lead magnet thing that comes up. Put in your name, put in your email address, and then what I will do is I'll serve you a really fun free course. I think it happens in 8 to 10 days. You get an email sequence with videos of me, and it's myth busting about singing and training. Ideas about singing, like some people are born to sing and others not. That is not totally true at all, and that prevents people from moving forward or becomes a head trip. So go there, get the free course, and if you get through the entire free course, it's gonna invite you to purchase one of the courses. That's the marketing thing, the way the marketing thing works. And when that happens, contact me. Robert, I saw you on Natalie's show. I enjoyed the email sequence. I'm interested in buying a course. I'll give you a special discount code. You can go in there and get the special Natalie discount.
Awesome. I like special Natalie discounts. It's really good. Appreciate it. Thank you, Robert. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So A Higher Note family, thank you for being with us today. And Robert, thank you so much for being with us today. Robert Lunte of the Vocalist Studio. Oh my goodness, the Vocalist Studio. I'm getting it all messed up. Vocaliststudio.com, and where they train vocal athletes. So yeah, thank you everyone for being with us today. I hope that you've gotten something from this, and I know I have, and that I hope you'll go. I also hope you'll go grab that free gift from Robert. There will be a button here or here to link you to that, and more information on it. Now I know this part. It's going to be down below. More information on Robert, and thank you for being here. And go out and sing. Keep singing.
Natalie, thank you for listening. Go train, then sing.